If you want to change your financial future, here's the secret almost nobody tells you. You are not in control of most of your money. Every month, every week, every day, your brain makes thousands of financial decisions. Some are conscious, some are emotional, most are automatic. And here's the truth. Your automatic decisions control far more of your financial outcomes than your conscious ones ever will. This is called the default effect. The default effect is a simple psychological principle. Humans tend to stick with preset options. The path of least resistance is the path the brain chooses. Think about it. If your 401k enrollment is optional, how many people will actually take the time to enroll? Only a fraction. If your bills are not automated, how many times will payments be late? More than you think. If your bank account requires effort to save, how much will actually get saved consistently? Rarely enough. The default effect explains why small structural choices, like whether money moves automatically, whether savings are defaulted into an investment, whether your subscription payments are recurring, dictate long-term outcomes. Most people think wealth is about intelligence, about effort, about discipline. But what the default effect shows is this: intelligence matters far less than design. Effort matters far less than structure. Discipline matters far less than defaults. Let's break it down. Imagine two people, Alex and Jamie. Alex decides manually every month how much to save, how much to invest, how to pay bills. Every decision requires effort, thought, and energy. Jamie sets up automatic transfers, default investments, and scheduled payments. The brain barely needs to intervene. Over time, Alex's financial progress fluctuates with motivation, stress, and emotional state. Missed deadlines, impulsive spending, and decision fatigue cause slow progress. Jamie's progress moves forward quietly, predictably, automatically. Over years, the difference compounds, not because one person is smarter or harder working, because Jamie leveraged the default effect. Here's what makes the default effect so powerful and so invisible. The brain treats defaults as recommendations, as safe choices, as signals of the correct way to act. When a choice is pre-selected, the brain interprets it as guidance. This works for good and for bad. If your defaults are set for savings, investments, and disciplined spending, you are set up for wealth. If your defaults are set for subscriptions, unnecessary spending, or minimal savings, you are set up for financial struggle. And here's the kicker. Most people never consciously notice this. The default happens silently. The brain doesn't need drama. It doesn't need to feel excitement. It just follows the path of least resistance. Which brings us to the hidden opportunity. You can design your defaults. Automatic transfers, automatic bill payments, automatic investments. Set the path once and your brain will follow it consistently for years without emotional resistance. The default effect is why wealthy individuals often appear effortless with money. It's not that they work harder or make better decisions in the moment. It's that their systems are designed to do the hard work automatically. Now let's talk about emotional resistance. Humans resist making decisions that feel effortful or stressful. Manual financial decisions trigger emotional friction, anxiety, overthinking, fear of mistakes. Defaults remove friction, and friction is one of the largest hidden drains on financial consistency. By reducing friction, default choices free mental energy for other priorities. This is why automation is one of the most effective financial strategies. It's also why discipline alone rarely works. Discipline requires constant effort, monitoring, and emotional regulation. Defaults remove that requirement entirely. Here's another key point. Small default choices scale exponentially over time. A default of saving $50 a week seems trivial. 50/week, 52 weeks, $2,600 year. With interest and compounding, that $2,600 can grow significantly over decades without you ever thinking about it again. Now let's talk about defaults beyond money. Defaults shape spending, borrowing, investing, and lifestyle. The apps you use, the subscriptions you keep, the recurring habits you maintain. Every default creates a path your brain will likely follow unless you intervene consciously. This is why people often feel stuck financially. It's not lack of willpower. It's not bad luck. It's the defaults you have unconsciously accepted. And here's the psychological truth that most people miss. Humans are designed to conserve energy. Your brain naturally chooses preset paths. It resists new decisions. It resists changing defaults unless motivated emotionally. Which means the single most powerful financial act you can do is design your defaults intentionally. Set your savings to automatic. Set your investments to automatic. Set your bill payments to automatic. Remove destructive financial defaults, because every small default compounds silently over time. Here's the most shocking part. The default effect explains why education alone often fails. People know what they should do. They understand budgets, investments, and saving strategies. But knowledge does not override automatic behavior. Automatic behavior is stronger than conscious knowledge every single time. This is why the just budget advice rarely works, because without preset defaults, humans are prone to emotional impulses, decision fatigue, and avoidance, and that is the hidden power of automatic decisions. They do not rely on willpower, motivation, or excitement. They rely on structure. Structure is invisible, quiet, and boring, but boring structure beats heroic effort every time. Now let's talk about habit reinforcement. Every automatic decision reinforces identity. Every consistent transfer, investment, or payment sends a signal to your brain: I am someone who manages money effectively. And identity is far more durable than discipline. Once identity aligns with wealth-building behavior, defaults become self-reinforcing. And once this loop begins, financial growth accelerates naturally without constant emotional struggle. Now here's the final psychological insight. Humans underestimate the power of defaults because the effects are invisible daily. You don't notice $50 saved automatically. You don't notice interest compounding quietly. You don't notice how consistent payments prevent late fees and penalties. But over months, years, and decades, the invisible effects are enormous. Default choices determine your financial trajectory silently, predictably, and automatically. The wealthy leverage this principle consistently. The financially struggling often ignore it unconsciously. And the most powerful shift you can make today is to stop relying on heroic decisions and start relying on strategic defaults. Set your path once, let your brain follow it automatically. Because when it comes to building wealth, the smallest automatic decisions often create the largest outcomes. And that, right there, is the default effect. Now let's dive into why most people never notice the default effect controlling their money. It's because defaults operate silently. Invisible, quiet, automatic. Think about your checking account. How many subscriptions are recurring without you actively thinking about them? Gym memberships you forgot to cancel. Streaming services you signed up for on impulse. Credit card autopay that goes into overdraft fees. All of these are defaults, paths your brain follows without questioning. And the same principle applies to positive financial defaults, automatic investment contributions, scheduled savings transfers, preset retirement allocations. Your brain treats these as background noise, but over time, they quietly shape your financial reality. Here's where it gets fascinating. The default effect interacts with behavioral inertia. Behavioral inertia is the brain's natural tendency to continue existing patterns. If a behavior is preset as a default, inertia reinforces it. If a behavior is not preset, inertia works against it. Most people think effort alone will produce results. But effort is fragile. Motivation is inconsistent. Energy fluctuates daily. Defaults are resistant. They keep working even when effort fails. Now let's talk about loss aversion, one of the most powerful forces in behavioral finance. Your brain feels losing more intensely than gaining when defaults are set for spending, like automatic subscriptions or impulsive payment plans. Loss aversion makes small drains feel normal. You barely notice them. They slip by unnoticed. But when defaults are set for savings or investments, loss aversion flips in your favor. Even if you miss a small contribution, the system nudges you to maintain stability. And over years, this creates invisible financial growth. Now here's a powerful concept few people realize. Default decisions shape identity. Every automatic financial behavior reinforces a self-image. An automatic saver starts seeing themselves as responsible. An automatic investor starts seeing themselves as forward-thinking. An automatic spender starts seeing themselves as impulsive, whether they like it or not. Identity is one of the strongest predictors of long-term behavior, and defaults shape identity faster than discipline ever can. Now let's talk about emotional friction. Every financial decision creates friction, mental effort, emotional resistance, fear, uncertainty. Manual decisions are like pushing a boulder uphill every time. Automatic defaults are like setting the boulder on a conveyor belt. Once it's moving, your brain stops fighting, momentum builds, and the work feels effortless. Here's a story to illustrate this. Samantha always manually transferred money into her savings. Some months she forgot. Other months she spent it impulsively. She felt guilty, disciplined herself, felt frustrated. The cycle repeated. When she switched to automatic savings transfers, something surprising happened. She forgot about it entirely, yet her balance grew steadily. Her stress decreased. Her confidence increased. She began automating other decisions, investments, retirement contributions, debt repayments. The system, not her discipline, created results. Now let's talk about systemic reinforcement loops. Defaults interact with habits to create compounding behavior. Automatic savings create a habit. The habit reinforces identity. Identity strengthens motivation. Motivation reinforces consistency, and consistency compounds financially. This loop explains why some people accumulate wealth quietly while others struggle, even with similar income. Now here's a psychological twist most people never recognize. Choice overload. Too many decisions reduce effectiveness. Every time you manually decide how much to save, where to invest, which bills to pay first, your brain burns energy. Decision fatigue sets in, mistakes happen, impulse spending rises. Defaults solve this problem. By presetting choices, you remove unnecessary decisions. You protect mental energy. You reduce emotional mistakes. And your financial system keeps running, regardless of mood, stress, or motivation. Now let's talk about social defaults. Defaults are not just individual, they are social too. How your friends spend, how your family budgets, how your social network views money. Humans are wired to follow social norms. We imitate behaviors unconsciously. If your social environment defaults to overspending or high-risk behavior, your brain follows automatically. If your environment defaults to saving, investing, and delayed gratification, your brain mirrors those behaviors. This is why environment design is as critical as financial design. Now let's talk about life disruption protection. Defaults are resilient to chaos. Jobs change, income fluctuates, emergencies happen, manual systems fail under stress, automatic defaults persist, providing continuity when emotional regulation falters. This is why long-term wealth is rarely about heroic action. It's about boring, predictable, automated systems that work even when life goes wrong. Now let's talk about visibility and awareness. Humans often feel invisible progress is worthless, but automatic systems accumulate in the background. Your bank balance grows silently. Investments compound quietly. Bills pay themselves. And one day, you look back and realize you are financially far ahead, without the drama, without the stress, without even noticing. This is the hidden magic of defaults. Finally, let's discuss the ultimate shift in perspective. Stop relying on willpower. Stop chasing financial heroics. Stop believing wealth requires effort and constant attention. Instead, design defaults intentionally. Automate savings. Automate investments. Automate debt payments. Automate bill management. Remove destructive defaults. Then let your brain follow the path of least resistance. Because the path of least resistance is also the path that builds wealth quietly, consistently, and powerfully over time. The default effect is not just a principle. It's the hidden engine behind almost every financial outcome you see in the world. And once you understand it, the question stops being, how do I control my money? And becomes, how do I design the right defaults so my money controls itself? And that is the secret few people ever see.